All right, you sick fucks. Strap yourselves in. We're diving headfirst into some seriously fucked up shit today.
Oh, yeah.
The assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. You probably think you know the drill peaceful dude gets capped.
Yeah.
End of story.
Ugh.
But trust me,
Yeah.
there's a whole lot more to this story than meets the eye. We've got a mountain of sources to dig through, court transcripts, the whole 9 yards. And luckily, we've got our expert here to help us sift through the bullshit and figure out what the hell really went down. Get ready for some mind-blowing details you won't find in your history books, folks.
What often gets lost in these simplified narratives is the sheer complexity of the situation. We tend to condense these historical events into, like bite-sized, easily digestible chunks.
Right.
But the reality is far messier and more nuanced. Understanding the context surrounding Gandhi's death is crucial if we really want to grasp its impact.
Okay, so let's cut the crap and get into it. Gandhi, right? Mr. Nonviolence, spinning yarns and preaching peace. What's there to miss? Some dude got pissed off and decided to take him out. End of story, right?
Not quite. To really understand what happened, we need to rewind a bit and consider the backdrop. 1947, India gaining independence. But the joy was short-lived. The partition of India and Pakistan was a chaotic bloodbath.
Oh, yeah.
Millions were displaced, religious violence was exploding, and the entire region was on a knife's edge. And right in the middle of this powder keg was Gandhi.
So you're saying this wasn't just some personal vendetta. The whole damn country was primed to implode.
Precisely. This atmosphere of tension and uncertainty is crucial to understanding the motivations of Gandhi's assassin, Nathuram Godse.
All right, let's talk about this asshat. Who was he? Just some random nutjob with a gun.
Godse was far from a random nutjob. He was a hardcore Hindu nationalist, deeply entrenched in radical groups like the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha. These organizations advocated for Hindu supremacy and saw Gandhi's inclusive, secular vision as a betrayal.
Hold up, Gandhi a traitor. Explain that shit. The dude practically invented peaceful protest.
Gandhi and his cohorts believed Gandhi was too accommodating towards Muslims, particularly during the partition.
Yeah.
They felt he was giving away too much land, power, resources, essentially screwing over Hindus in their eyes.
Right.
Remember those horrific images of Hindu refugees fleeing Pakistan? Godse was fixated on their suffering and blamed Gandhi for it.
So this wasn't just religious differences, it was a political power play too.
Absolutely. Godse was convinced that Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence was weakening India, leaving it vulnerable in a hostile world. He envisioned a strong, Hindu-dominated nation and saw Gandhi as the biggest obstacle to achieving that goal.
Damn, talk about a fucked up ideology.
Yeah.
But how did this Godse asshole even get close to Gandhi? Wasn't Gandhi like a goddamn rock star? Surrounded by security, all that jazz.
Gandhi was revered, but that didn't deter Godse. He'd already tried to kill Gandhi once before the assassination.
What?
We're talking years earlier, in 1944, and with a goddamn knife.
You tried to shank the Mahatma.
What the fuck? Yep, he went for it, and got away with it, thanks to Gandhi's unwavering commitment to nonviolence. He refused to press charges, opting for forgiveness instead.
Unfucking believable. So this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment crime of passion bullshit. This dude had been plotting this shit for years.
Which raises a crucial question. Was Godse acting alone, or is there something more sinister at play? A conspiracy, perhaps?
Ooh, a conspiracy. Now you're talking my language. Spill the beans. What's the dirt?
Hold on to your hats, because this was not just some isolated act of violence. There was a deliberate, calculated plot to eliminate Gandhi, and it involved more players than just Godse.
Okay, I'm all ears. Who else was in on this fucked up plan?
We're talking a full-fledged operation acquiring a Beretta M1934 pistol, meticulously tracking Gandhi's every move, the whole 9 yards. They even botched an attempt just 10 days before the assassination.
Well, what? They fucked up the first time around. Details, please.
Picture this. One of Gandhi's prayer meetings. Chaos erupts as a grenade explodes. People are panicking, scrambling for safety. It's absolute mayhem. But somehow, Gandhi survives. It turns out one of the conspirators lost his nerve and didn't throw the second grenade as planned.
Holy shit. They were serious about taking the old man out, weren't they? Talk about commitment to a fucked up cause.
Dead serious. And that brings us to the fateful day, January 30th, 1948.
All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Walk us through exactly how this whole thing went down. Spare no detail. I want the full picture.
It's late afternoon, and Gandhi is making his way to his daily prayer meeting at Birla House. Now, this detail is important. He's accompanied by his great niece, Manubin. Imagine being that close to such a historical figure, walking by his side moments before
some religious fanatic pumps 3 bullets into him. Yeah, talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It gets even crazier. Manubin actually sees Godse approaching and initially assumes he just wants to touch Gandhi's feet as a sign of respect.
Really?
She even tries to shove Godse aside because they're running late for the meeting.
What a badass. Trying to protect her great-uncle from a would-be assassin. But I guess she underestimated this psycho, huh?
Sadly, yes. Godse pushes her back so forcefully that she falls, dropping all her belongings, and then, in a flash, bang, 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 3 shots ring out. Point-blank range, straight into Gandhi's chest and stomach.
Jesus Christ, talk about a cold-blooded execution.
Yeah.
So what happens next? Does Godse try to make a run for it?
That's where the story gets a little murky. There are conflicting accounts of the immediate aftermath.
Oh.
Some say Godse just stood there calmly, surrendering to the crowd. Others claim he tried to shoot himself, but was prevented from doing so.
So which is it? Suicide attempt or peaceful surrender? Someone must have seen something.
There's this American diplomat, Herbert Reiner Jr., who claims to have grabbed Godse before he could do anything else.
Okay.
He was hailed as a hero by some for supposedly disarming the assassin.
So case closed. Reiner, the American hero, saves the day. Sounds a little too convenient, don't you think?
It's not that simple. Other witnesses, including an Indian Air Force officer who was present, claim that they were the ones who actually disarmed Godse. Even the accounts of Gandhi's death vary.
Oh, come on.
Did he die instantly from the gunshots, or did he linger for another 30 minutes back in his room?
Damn, what a clusterfuck. So much for a clear-cut narrative. It's like a goddamn game of telephone. Everyone's got a different version of the story.
History is rarely tidy, especially when you're dealing with an event as significant and chaotic as this one. It's a tangled web of perspectives and interpretations.
Speaking of interpretations, let's talk about the trial. What happened to Godse and his cronies after they were caught? Did they try to plead insanity, claim they were following orders from some Hindu god?
The trial was a media frenzy the whole world was watching. Godse, being the narcissistic asshole that he was, used the courtroom as his personal stage. He delivered this rambling statement, defending his actions and blaming Gandhi for everything wrong with India.
Let me guess. He was a misunderstood patriot, a reluctant hero forced to take drastic measures for the good of the nation. Give me a fucking break.
Godse was a master manipulator, and his statement was carefully crafted to exploit the fears and prejudices of his audience.
Right.
He tapped into the resentment that many Hindus felt towards Muslims, especially after the trauma of the partition.
So he was playing the victim card. Talk about a spineless piece of shit, trying to justify cold-blooded murder with crocodile tears. All right, you sick fucks. Welcome back to our deep dive into the shit show that was Gandhi's assassination. Last time we left off with this Godse asshole basically throwing a pity party in the courtroom, trying to justify his cold-blooded murder with some twisted-ass logic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pick up where we left off and dissect this fucker's bullshit.
Godse's trial statement is fascinating because it reveals a lot about the mindset of not just him, but the broader Hindu nationalist movement at the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a random act of violence,
Right.
but a calculated act rooted in a specific ideology.
Yeah, we touched on that last time, this whole Hindu supremacy thing, right? Yeah. But let's get into the specifics. What exactly was this asshat's defense? Did he try to claim he was possessed by the ghost of Shiva or some shit?
He tried to paint himself as a reluctant hero, a patriot forced to do what he felt was necessary for the good of India.
Oh, really?
He argued that Gandhi's policies were detrimental to Hindus, that his insistence on nonviolence left India vulnerable, and ultimately led to the horrors of the partition.
Give me a fucking break. The dude was a goddamn saint preaching peace and unity.
Right.
And this prick tries to spin it like Gandhi's the one who fucked everything up.
It's important to understand how masterfully Godse manipulated facts and emotions to make his case.
Yeah.
He preyed on the fears and resentment that many Hindus felt towards Muslims, particularly after the bloodshed of the partition.
Okay.
He cherry-picked events, twisted narratives, and presented himself as the defender of the Hindu faith, a man who was willing to take drastic action to protect his people.
So he was playing the victim card. The poor, persecuted Hindus bullshit. What a spineless piece of shit, using fear and prejudice to justify his own bloodlust.
He went even further than that. He claimed that the payment of funds to Pakistan, which Gandhi had supported, proved that Gandhi favored Muslims over Hindus. This payment was part of a partition agreement, but Godse presented it as a betrayal, a sign that Gandhi was willing to appease Muslims at the expense of his own people.
It's like he took everything Gandhi stood for, peace, unity, compassion, and twisted it into something ugly and hateful. What a fucking mindfuck.
Exactly. Godse was a master propagandist.
Yes.
He knew how to manipulate public sentiment and exploit existing divisions within society. And sadly, his message resonated with some segments of the population.
Wait, are you saying people actually bought into his bullshit? Did he have any supporters?
Unfortunately, yes. Despite the widespread condemnation of the assassination, there were some, particularly within the Hindu nationalist movement, who hailed Godse as a hero. They believed that he had acted in the best interests of Hindus, even if it meant resorting to violence. It's a chilling reminder that extremist ideologies can take root anywhere, even among those who claim to be acting for the greater good.
Damn, that's some scary shit. It's like these people were living in some alternate reality where peace is weakness and violence is the answer.
It's a classic example of how ideology can blind people to reality, how it can twist their perception of right and wrong. Godse and his supporters were so convinced of their own righteousness that they were willing to justify murder in the name of their cause.
All right, let's move on from this Godse asshole. My brain is starting to hurt from trying to decipher his twisted logic. Let's talk about the aftermath of the assassination. How the fuck did India cope with losing Gandhi? The dude was practically a demigod.
Gandhi's death sent shockwaves through India and the world.
I bet.
It was a moment of profound grief and disbelief.
Yeah.
People struggled to comprehend how a man who preached nonviolence could be met with such brutal violence.
I bet. It's like the universe just imploded on itself. Did India descend into chaos? Did everyone just lose their shit?
Surprisingly, no. In a way, Gandhi's death helped unify the country.
Yeah.
It transcended religious and political divides. People from all walks of life came together to mourn the loss of their leader, a man who had led them to independence and embodied the ideals of peace and unity.
So Gandhi's death, as horrific as it was, actually brought people together. Talk about a bittersweet legacy.
Exactly. His assassination became a rallying point for those who believed in his vision of a secular, tolerant India.
Okay.
It strengthened their resolve to fight against the forces of hatred and division that had led to his death.
So they doubled down on Gandhi's message.
Yeah.
Turned the other cheek, so to speak.
In a way, yes. But it wasn't about passive acceptance.
Right.
It was about actively resisting the ideologies that had led to this tragedy. It was about building a nation where everyone, regardless of their religion or background, could live together in peace and harmony.
That's a pretty tall order, considering the circumstances. Did they actually manage to pull it off?
It was a long and arduous process, fraught with challenges. But ultimately, India emerged as a secular democracy, a testament to the enduring power of Gandhi's ideals. His death, while a devastating loss, also served as a catalyst for positive change.
So in a way, Gandhi's assassination was a turning point for India, a moment that forced them to confront their demons and choose a path forward.
Exactly. It was a moment of reckoning, a time to reflect on the kind of nation they wanted to build. And ultimately, they chose the path of peace, unity, and inclusivity, a path illuminated by the legacy of the man they had lost.
All right, I'm starting to get a headache from all this heavy shit. Let's take a break from the politics and talk about something a little lighter.
Sure.
How has Gandhi's legacy been portrayed in the media? I mean, this whole story is practically begging for a Hollywood blockbuster.
There have been numerous films, documentaries, and books about Gandhi. The 1982 film Gandhi, starring Ben Kingsley, is probably the most famous. It won a ton of awards and is considered a classic. But there have also been more controversial portrayals, like the play Nathuram Godse, which attempts to humanize Godse and present his perspective.
Seriously, a play that tries to make us feel sorry for the guy who killed Gandhi? Talk about a fucked up premise.
It sparked a lot of controversy, and it was even banned in some parts of India.
Wow.
It's a reminder that even decades after his death, Gandhi's legacy remains a complex and contested topic.
All right, you morbid motherfuckers. Welcome back to the final chapter of our deep dive into the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. Hope you haven't overdosed on all this heavy shit, because we're about to get all philosophical up in this bitch.
Let's move beyond the immediate events and explore some of the broader implications of this tragedy. Gandhi's assassination wasn't just a historical event.
Right.
It was a stark reminder of the enduring power of ideology and the fragility of peace.
Okay, lay it on me. I'm all ears, but keep it simple, all right?
Yeah.
My brain is still fried from trying to understand that Godse asshole's logic.
Gandhi, the man who dedicated his life to nonviolence, who believed in the transformative power of love and forgiveness, was gunned down in cold blood by a fanatic driven by hate and a twisted ideology. It forces us to question whether peace is truly achievable in a world where such extremism exists.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up when you think about it. Makes you wonder if all this peace and love bullshit is just a pipe dream.
It's a question that has haunted humanity for centuries. But Gandhi's legacy reminds us that even in the face of darkness, we can't afford to give up on the pursuit of peace. His life and death serve as a powerful testament to the importance of resisting hatred and violence, even when it seems like an insurmountable challenge.
Okay, I get it. We can't just roll over and let the assholes win. But how the fuck do we fight against something as pervasive and insidious as extremism? It's like a goddamn hydra, you cut off one head, two more grow back.
It's a complex issue, but education plays a crucial role.
Okay.
We need to teach people about the dangers of prejudice, intolerance, and blind adherence to ideology. We need to equip them with critical thinking skills. Right.
So they can recognize bullshit when they see it. So they can challenge harmful narratives and resist the seductive pull of extremism.
You're starting to sound like one of those preachy-ass after-school specials. Don't do drugs, stay in school, and be nice to everyone, blah, blah, blah.
It's not about being preachy. It's about empowering people to think for themselves.
Yeah.
To question authority and to stand up for what's right. It's about fostering a culture of empathy and understanding where differences are celebrated rather than feared.
All right. I get it. Education is important. But what about the role of government? Don't they have a responsibility to crack down on these extremist assholes?
Absolutely. Governments need to take a proactive stance against hate speech,
Right.
incitement to violence, and the spread of extremist propaganda. They need to provide support for organizations working to promote peace, tolerance, and interfaith dialogue. They need to create a legal framework that protects vulnerable communities and holds those who incite violence accountable for their actions. So basically, we need a multi-pronged approach. Education, government action, and a whole lot of grassroots activism to keep those fuckers in check.
Exactly. It's a collective effort that requires the participation of individuals, communities, and institutions at all levels. It's about creating a social ecosystem where extremism is marginalized, where peace is not just an aspiration but a lived reality.
Well, that's a tall order, but if Gandhi could dedicate his life to it, maybe we can at least try, right?
Gandhi's life and death remind us that the pursuit of peace is not a passive endeavor. It's an active struggle against injustice, against hatred, against the forces that seek to divide us. It requires courage, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to building a better world.
Dan, you're starting to sound like Gandhi himself. Are you sure you're not channeling his ghost or some shit?
I think we could all benefit from channeling a little bit of Gandhi's spirit.
Yeah.
His message of nonviolence, his unwavering belief in the power of truth and love is more relevant today than ever before.
Okay, enough of the inspirational quotes. I'm starting to feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and it's freaking me out. Let's wrap this up before I turn into a goddamn hippie.
But before we go, let's leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
What if Gandhi hadn't been assassinated? How would history have unfolded differently? Would he have been able to bridge the divides that plagued India? Would his vision of a united, peaceful world have gained more traction?
Damn, those are some heavy questions. Guess we'll never know for sure. But it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if?
That's the beauty and the tragedy of history.
Yeah.
It's filled with what-ifs and might-have-beens, but it's also a source of inspiration, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, human beings have the capacity for incredible acts of courage, compassion, and resilience.
Well, that's enough philosophical bullshit for one day. My brain is officially fried. All right, folks, that's it for our deep dive into the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. Hope you learned something or at least enjoyed the ride. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and for fuck's sake, try not to assassinate anyone, all right? Peace out.